And NATO promises to give more weapons to Ukraine and to help fix energy infrastructure damaged by Russian strikes.
The best way to achieve a lasting, durable peace in Ukraine is to provide military support to Ukraine.
And King Charles has opened a new welcome centre for Ukrainian refugees in central London. He toured the facility at the Ukrainian Catholic Cathedral. The centre is designed to help new arrivals, providing them with advice and support on settling and long-term living in the UK.
Now, millions of Ukrainians are tonight locked in a bitter struggle against the biting cold of winter as Russia continues its relentless assault on the country's power grid. Among those hit hardest by Moscow's decision to weaponise winter are Ukraine's school children. And for this special report, our senior international correspondent John Irvine went to Bucha, where he found teachers doing whatever they could to keep the schools open and the children warm.
The passage of time and a covering of snow have softened the sharp edges in the battered and tortured neighbourhoods of Bucha and Irpin. These areas just north of Kyiv were occupied early in the war. Over the course of this conflict, they've come out of the darkness and into the light. School number 17 has reopened, and thankfully the classrooms have big windows. Keeping the lights off conserves fuel for the generator that substitutes for the mains electricity they can't rely on. Before the war, there were 2,500 pupils, but today only 500 can attend because that's the capacity of the corridor and basement they use as bomb shelters when the air raid siren goes off. In nearby school number 1, it's colder. However, parents have little choice but to send in their wrapped-up children because power cuts have made homeschooling nigh on impossible. All the schools in these areas were damaged during the fighting. Some are beyond repair, but the ones deemed retrievable were rebuilt thanks to the generosity of the international community in the guise of UNICEF and thanks to the determination of school principals like Ivan.
We know from history that Britain was in the same predicament during World War II, and they didn't close the schools. We need to stand our ground here on the educational front line.
Everyone in this country is affected by Russia's campaign to turn off the lights and the heating. The authorities have put up tents called invincibility centres where people can congregate to warm up and generally recharge their batteries. These rallying points are likely to get busier as Russia's Cold War intensifies.
The Russians have decided to collectively punish all the people in this country. Just surviving until the spring will be a form of victory, but in between, Ukraine faces its toughest winter since the Second World War.
Victoria is a psychologist who helps the children of Bucha and Irpin. When she finishes work, she returns to a small apartment where she lives with her son Timothy and daughter Barbara. Dad is a soldier fighting on the front line, while Mum does her best to hold the fort here at home. As everybody faces an uncertain future, Victoria's day job has her trying to heal the mental scars already inflicted by the Russians.
I'm hearing so many sad stories that sometimes I feel powerless to help. There are days when consultations are over that I end up sitting in my car crying.
Ukrainians are finding ways to escape, if only for a short time. Concerts like this one are a comfort blanket for the soul. Heartwarming on another freezing night. John Irvine, ITV News, Kyiv.
The Ukrainian government says a new hotline for Russian soldiers to surrender is now getting 100 calls every day. By calling the hotline or entering details through messenger apps, Russian troops can arrange the best way for them to surrender to Ukrainian forces. It is called the I Want to Live project. Well, our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse has been listening to some of the calls from Russian troops.
A Ukrainian message for Russian soldiers. What are you fighting for? Asks this propaganda video. At one point, it offers cash for giving up weapons or machinery. Before two numbers appear, Ukraine's surrender hotline. From frontline to phone line, this secretive operation takes place in Kyiv. One call operator, who we've kept anonymous, says she gets up to 100 inquiries a day.
There are different calls. They tend to happen more in the evening or nighttime.
It's because, she says, it's the only time they're alone. We've been given some recordings and used actors to voice them.
Hello, this is the Center for Surrender into Captivity.
Hello, I was given this number and was told that this is how you can voluntarily surrender. I'm in Kherson region.
First, can you please go on Telegram, find the I Want to Live chatbot and complete the questionnaire?
I can't. They took our phones. I just don't understand exactly what to do when Ukrainians come. Do I drop to my knees or what?
When you're on the front line, call us right away.
I'm not alone here. There's a group of people. They say here in Russia they will put us to jail for 10 years.
Often it's part desperate, part frustrated or lost, because they don't fully understand how the hotline works and whether it's not just a setup.
Once they're located, more instructions are given. We're not told what they are.
We haven't been mobilized yet, but we are already here. I will purposefully speak in a convoluted way. When do I call?
For more information and to save time, go to our Telegram channel called I Want to Live.
So it's not fake?
It's the only channel where all official information is posted about procedures and how things happen. You don't have to leave your phone number because it identifies you. And we really recommend you having an old phone handset on you.
Okay, I'll take a closer look. Thank you. Goodbye.
This is a big part of the information war. Both sides need prisoners of war to free their own and quieten critics. For outnumbered Ukraine, it's hoped this helpline will weaken their bigger opponent. And it's interesting on the issue of prisoners of war how the pendulum has swung. Early on in Russia's full-scale invasion, it was Ukraine that suffered the most captures. But since Ukrainian counter-offensives from September, the momentum has very much gone the other way. To fight in wintry conditions, that takes discipline and it takes training. And for Ukraine, they are seeing that as an opportunity with Russia's partial mobilization of hundreds of thousands of men. They are hoping this information campaign, along with continued military offences, will allow it to keep retaking territory. But it's easier said than done as the conditions do continue to deteriorate.